So this is on live now. So it's on live. So we'll wait for a couple of minutes, and Bhante is already here with us. So this is and in the meantime, as usual, so if you have any questions regarding meditation practice or anything related to it, you can email me or Bhante directly, so that following weeks Bhante will cover on that topic. So any confusions on that, if you have, then Bhante will help to overcome and clear. Bhante, just a finger cross. Okay, so this is our third week. So welcome everyone. So maybe another 1 or 2 minutes, and then we will start. So I believe that all of us been practicing meditation without failing, at least of a few minutes of a day. And with that, we will get a more insight into it as we come together and practicing together. All right. So in that, so I think we better let's say echoing somebody turn on somewhere else as well. What I'll do, I will make Bhante as co-host and mute everybody else. Okay. So Bhante can unmute to speak. Okay. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Once again, we are here for the day 3, and I think it is time to go ahead. And so, pay respect to Bhante Bodhidhamma for his kindness and compassion for all of us, leading this session. So, I hand over to Bhante. Thank you. Unmute, Bhante. Yeah.
That's better. Okay. Yeah. Everybody hear me? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. I'll start with the talk as usual. Namo tassa bhagavato harahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Buddha, the Blessed Noble, and fully self-awakened one. So I was going to look at these next 2 questions that were sent to me. What is the best form of meditation in the hectic world? And do you think enlightenment is possible in the modern day? So the first one, meditation in hectic life. So I began my meditation with the Zen monastery up in Northumberland, Throssell Abbey. And they used to stress practice in ordinary daily life. Practice in ordinary daily life. I'm trying to get that thing out of my eye. Okay, that's better. And they used to stress this practice in ordinary daily life, and they would say that if you make a distinction between sitting and doing your work, you've lost the path, you've lost the way. So it's trying to understand how to be mindful throughout the day. That's the practice. And now it had a great effect on me because I used to become sort of exhausted at work, well, overtired, you might say. I was teaching in a technical college, and I would be going from one part of the building to the next, depending on the class. And so what I would do is take whatever irritation or happiness or excitement I had from one class, I'd take it into the next class. So by the end of the day, the whole emotional life was all building up. And I just feel tired by the end of it. So the first thing that Throssell taught me was to try to remain calm throughout the day. That there was no need to go over the top with emotional stuff. That was the first thing. And the second thing was to to sort of uh, create these breaks in the day where you allowed any emotional buildup to dissipate. So I used to go from one class to the next, usually with my mind ahead of me into the next class, bringing all my agitation with me. But instead, now I was walking to the next class, mindfully being aware of what was happening in the heart, agitation, irritation, mostly irritation, and then to slowly let that go so that when I entered into the new class, it was as I was back to being fairly calm. And the other thing I did was instead of going to the staff room in the break, which used to be about an hour or more, and you'd go in there, of course, and there's all the chatter and stuff. Instead of doing that, I'd find somewhere I could just sit quietly by myself for 20 minutes. I used to use this storeroom, and it was a chair in there. So I just sat there for 20 minutes and I would do, a bit of meditation, let everything calm. And of course, by the end of the day, I felt much more energized and a sense of being more in control of my life, having more agency, not being driven by emotions, not being driven by other people's expectations and so on. So that's the first thing, the practice in ordinary daily life. But when it comes to meditation, I think there are uh, 3 points where the practice of sitting is important. So the first one is in the morning. And what the morning sitting does is it puts your mindfulness weather vane pointing in the right direction. So you might wake up, for instance, with concerns, with worries, with excitements, things are going to happen today. And just sitting there with that and allowing that energy to just calm down a bit, what you're developing is two factors of, of awakening, which is equanimity and calmness. So equanimity is that ability to remain composed, not to get caught up in things, in opinions, in views, and getting agitated over them, and remaining cool, cool, and calmness is the way that you feel in the body, and it supports that equanimity. So equanimity stops these emotions just tumbling away. You keep coming back to being calm and to being equanimous within yourself, and that's what the first sitting does. But as in all vipassana meditation, when you come to the end of it, it's really important to practice metta, because while you're practicing vipassana, you'll notice that there's no metta, right? There's no karuna, there's no compassion, there's no joy. It's not included in the 7 factors of enlightenment. Why? Because it's understood. I mean, you wouldn't be doing it if you didn't have compassion for yourself, if you didn't have a warm feeling towards yourself. But they would be hindrances to investigation. So your investigation in Vipassana is like any scientist. You have to be equanimous. You have to be coming from a place where the mind is open, where you're ready to explore. So if you take that equanimity into daily life, there's a big danger that it falls into what's known as its close enemy, its subtle enemy, which is a sort of indifference, a sort of apathy. If you see somebody suffering, well, you say, well, it's their karma. So you're not ready to go and help them. So to undermine that, you have to re-engage. And that's the purpose of metta. And when you do the metta in the morning, there's a point where you might bring to mind those people whom you presume to meet during the day, whom you plan to meet during the day, so that your heart's already there, especially with people, whom you're finding difficult to be with. So whenever you practice Vipassana, even just 5 minutes of metta just puts you into that right frame of mind, to be with other people and in our culture. Now, the second one that's important is when you come home. You might have had a day out, it might be a day at work, doesn't really matter. But choose some time in the evening, better before you eat, because after you eat, you just fall asleep, right? But if you choose a time before you eat, and you're just sitting quietly, you don't always have to sit in posture. And what you're doing is you're allowing all the accumulations of the day to rise. So there may be irritations there, there may be disappointments, but there may also be excitements, all sorts of joys. There may be memories of people you've met. And it's just, again, allowing that little bit of emotional turbulence to just become quiet, become calm. So we're always heading towards equanimity and calmness, right? That's our goal, equanimity and calmness. And when that equanimity and calmness are sort of established fairly well, these other mental states like love, joy, compassion, gratitude, all the virtues, they sort of blips and they're supported by that calmness, stops them going into their what we call subtle enemies, right? Love into attachment, compassion into grief, joy into excitement. And that's the purpose of developing that sense of calm, quiet equanimity. And the last one that I think is important is metta before you go to bed, right? It's no good going to bed having watched a crime video on Netflix or having been excited over some sort of social media, right? I mean, the head's full of stuff, so you've got to create a little space there. Doesn't matter how long it is, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, and you might start with a bit of vipassana or calmness, but then do the metta. Because the Buddha says that one of the great benefits of metta is that you sleep better. So when you practice metta and then and actually do it in bed, like when you're in bed, but make it simple. So for instance, you might offer metta to a friend and then to yourself and then to all beings. And simple phrases, may you be well and happy. That will do because you're not trying to develop it, you're just trying to maintain that metta within yourself. And what it does is it puts a substrate under your sleep, you see, so that all the anxieties and fears and angers and all that, they're just sort of softened by this lovely blanket of metta. Yeah. If it doesn't work, it's probably because you've not done enough metta. So these things are only sort of suggestions. So these 3 points of the day, when it comes to vipassana and metta, are important. But again, during the day, to constantly create these little spaces. I call them, I say just to stop. Even actually just stop, just sit down, breathe, stop, right? You'll find other teachers saying pause, So it's a case of recognizing that you have to create little islets during the day where you can just feel relaxed and at ease. So that's the meditation sort of in daily life. But you have to include the Eightfold Path. It's not just meditation. So here we go into making sure that our understanding is always being cultivated, right? That we understand the teachings more and more deeply, which means reading and talking and listening to talks and stuff. Because it has an effect on the way we are, you remember? And that feeds into our right attitude. So the right attitude is to move away from irritations and anger towards love, from stinginess and selfishness towards generosity, and from hatred, from cruelty towards compassion. That's what we're doing. We're moving across, right? And if sometimes we fail to do that, we shouldn't then beat ourselves up. We should just recognize there's work to be done. That's all. And there's always ways of putting things right that we've not done properly, just apologize or whatever it takes, make amends. And then that begins to the right understanding, right attitude expresses itself in the way we speak, right? And the Buddha talks about kindly speech and being gentle, being truthful, yeah. And for me, a really important one is to speak at the right time. You might be saying the right thing, but you've not chosen the right time. It just upset people. So there's a lot of wisdom there and a lot of being able to communicate with people. And then, of course, there's right action. So that takes us into our ethical life, uh, to make sure that we're not doing anything which is harmful. And again, if we do something that, on reflection, we feel, well, that was harmful, there's no point in beating ourselves up. You have to remember that karma is a law which says that when you do something harmful will come of it. And that's all we have to do. We have to bear with the harm that comes of it and let it run its course. To punish ourselves and beat ourselves up is just extra suffering that we put on ourselves. It's as though, for instance, somebody is caught robbing and they're put in jail for 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is. Now, that should be the end of the story for them, right? But as you know, it comes with all sorts of uh, cultural stuff put on people who rob and steal, and they carry this around with them all the time, and they define themselves as thieves. And then, of course, it's no wonder that they do it again. And that's not the only reason that they might steal again, but it's there within that culture. So when we do something harmful, all we need to do is say to ourselves, "Oops, I'm going to get a response from that. I'm going to get a consequence, and when it comes, I'll bear with it, and that'll be the end of it." See, and then there is right livelihood. So often we end up in work which is not meaningful to us, um, but you find that whatever work you're doing, and of course, there's work that we are really interested in, but that we get bored with, right? So boredom turns up and we want to do something else. But if we have an attitude in our work of service, it makes it meaningful. So it doesn't matter what you do, right? It doesn't matter whether you have, just what's referred to as a menial job, but they're good jobs. Even if you're just brushing the streets, it's a good job. And if you're doing it with the heart of service, you're on the path, right? And if you've got a good job and you're getting bored, you remind yourself, well, I'm doing it also for the benefit of others. It's for our benefit. I mean, we get wages, etc., etc., but it's also for the benefit of others. And that really just gives the whole working life some spiritual substance. It gives it a certain happiness because at least other people are benefiting, even if even if you're not enjoying your job. So there we have it. The meditation points, the morning when you come back from the day's work or a day out, the evening with the metta. So these are little focal points, and how much you do is up to you. How much you decide to spend on that, and then to bring that mindfulness into daily life, and to bring the whole of the path into daily life. And I think there are two sort of basic virtues which underpin all virtues in my understanding. And the first one is gratitude. When you begin to realize how much has been given to us for which we've not had to pay or do anything about, like for instance, your very body given to you by your parents, and obviously especially your mother, then you realize that you can't repay what you've received. And that immediately helps you to be of service to people and to see your life more in terms of that good relationship. And the other one is forgiveness, right? Forgiveness, it undermines all all that hatred, all that resentment. You know, in the book, the Visuddhimagga, the path of freedom, freedom, no, the path of purification by Buddhaghosa, there's a whole section there on how to get rid of resentments because they just eat away at your heart. And and you can look it up if you wish. And those two attitudes I understand to be really fundamental to our virtuous life. And the virtuous life is the life that leads to nibbana. That's basically what it's all about. So if you were to reduce the whole of the Buddha's teachings, you'd come up with ethics, morality and ethics, and transcendence. And the transcendence bit is something which you'll touch upon every time you meditate, because what you're doing is you're pulling away from your body, heart, and mind, from the body with its sensations and feelings, from the heart with its emotions and moods, and from the mind with its thoughts and images. And somehow you're pulling away from that to observe it all. You're transcending the psychophysical organism. See? So try to make that obvious to yourself by pointing to things. So you see, there's a feeling, there's an emotion, there's a thought. So what is it that keeps pointing? What is it that keeps looking? What is it that's aware? And that will take us towards nibbana. And to answer more pointedly, this hectic world, yeah, we're in a we're in a dreadful place. The economically, we're just caught up in this greed. You know, it's got a capitalism can be for the good. You can turn capitalism to support everybody, but as you know, it's moved over towards the rich. It's left people impoverished, and the rest of the world who are poor in the first place are even in a worse situation. So how do we not get caught up in that greed? That's the first thing, yeah. And secondly, when you look at the world in terms of the violence that's in the world, how do you not get caught up in the anger that we might feel about that, or being drained by the constant bad news? So we just have to guard ourselves against that, right? And we have to recognize that we have limitations. We do what we can do, and and there's no point in trying to do more. You just exhaust yourself. And we know whom we can influence. And if you go beyond that, you just exhaust yourself. So it's really being very humble, by which I mean really seeing our situation as it really is and not trying to go beyond it, and accepting our limitations. And that guards us from trying to overextend ourselves. So yes, is it possible to become enlightened? Well, it is, but it's difficult. I mean, it's bad enough for monks and nuns. Never mind if you're in the society itself and having to deal with day-to-day connection with the way things are. But yeah, it's possible. Why not? It's a case of convincing ourselves, having that trust that, if we're on the path, right? I mean, in Buddhist terms, it might take a few more goes before we're fully there. But this is the training ground. This is samsara. This is where the Buddha said you are most liable to become fully liberated, because here we do have this happiness and sadness, this pain and joy. But we have this intelligence, we have this satipanya, we have this intuitive awareness, which can find the way out. So this is it. This is where we've got to do it. So I can only hope my words have been of some encouragement, and that they have not confused you and that you will, by your great efforts, become fully liberated, even in this very lifetime. Okay, so we can sit for a while and then practice metta. And I do like to end with reading the Metta Sutta because uh, that puts us into a right frame of mind for daily life, actually. Okay, so just find yourself in a good posture, something that's going to just support your body, your spine mainly. The energy has to be in the spine, just holding it up properly. Okay, so I'll just take myself. Mm. So we can take refuges and precepts. Namo tassa bhagavato harahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato harahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato harahato samma sambuddhassa. Bodhang saranang gacchami. Dhammam saranang gacchami. Sangham saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi bodham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi bodham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Kame sumi chachara veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Musawada veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majja pamadatana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Tisaranena saha pancha silam sadhukam katva appamadena sampadeta. Having taken refuges and precepts, quoting the final words of the Buddha, strive diligently for your liberation. So we can practice some metta. The phrases I use tend to be used. May you be safe, well, and happy. May you live contented in harmony with the world. So it's good to start with somebody who naturally warms the heart and use that as a sort of touchstone to go back to, just to keep lifting that loving kindness into the heart. May you be safe, well, and happy. May you live contented in harmony with the world. Bringing to mind a benefactor. Bringing to mind those who are near and dear to us. Friends, people at work, whomever we wish. Bring to mind a neutral person, so someone we see but don't know. Turning now that stream of loving kindness towards ourselves. And into the heart of goodwill, anyone we're having difficulties with. Radiating outwardly, first of all to each other, our present spiritual companion. May we, radiating outward to those who are near to us and to our neighbors and neighborhood. To all the people in our country, to all the peoples of Europe, or if you happen to be in the States, to all people on earth. And finally, to all beings in all directions. Just reading the discourse on loving kindness. One who has developed an ethical way of living, who wishes to attain that state of calm, nibbana, should behave in this way. They should be able, conscientious, and principled, easy to speak to, gentle, and unpretentious, contented with sufficient needs, with few duties, of like livelihood, their senses, desires restrained, discreet, and courteous. They do not take advantage of anyone, nor do they pursue the slightest thing for which wise person might censure them. May all beings be safe and happy. May their hearts be wholesome. Whatever living beings there be, feeble or strong, tall, stout or medium, short, small or large, without exception, seen or unseen, those dwelling far or near, those who are born and those who are yet to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, nor despise any person whatsoever in any way. Let them not wish harm to another out of anger or ill will. Just as a mother would protect her only child at the risk of her own life, even so, let them cultivate such a boundless heart towards all beings. Let their thoughts of unbounded love pervade the whole world, above, below, and across, without any hindrance, without any hatred, without any enmity. Whether they are standing, walking, sitting, or lying down, as long as they are awake, they should develop this affectionate mindfulness. This, they say, is the noblest way to live, and not falling into wrong views, virtuous and endowed with insight, discarding attachment to the sense desires, they will not need to be born again into this world. May all beings be happy. Sabe sata sukita hantu. Sabe sata sukita hantu. Sabe sata sukita hantu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Very good. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Bhante, for this Ajahn, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Bhante, for tonight again. So thank you. So as usual, so again, if you have any questions to ask, you can send the email to me or to Bhante directly. And so if you have anything you want to ask Bhante, you're welcome to ask.
Yeah. Yes, please do. Is there somebody from America? I thought there was somebody from
Was from Hawaii, but
Hawaii. Oh, right. Okay.
yeah,
Well, that'll do.
there was a Hawaii and one New York, but
Oh,
today
there we are.
they are absent here.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anybody? Nobody want to ask? Okay. Right. So email.
Yes, please email. Thank you.
Oh,
Take
yeah.
care.
Thank you very
Hey,
much.
thank you, Ajahn.
Ciao. I'm
Thank
leaving the
you.
meeting.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just I want to give you information that end of this month we also have a retreat here at the center, and 17th of May we have a consecration of a ceremony, consecration of the Uposatha here in Aberdeen. So if you would like to come and join, you're welcome as well. So thank you everyone. So we'll see you next week, and if you have any questions, just email me.